Hello and thanks for staying with us here on Channels Television. You're welcome to the news at 5. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Following the outcome of its third meeting held in Abuja, members of the Niger Governors Forum have thrown their support for the proposed National Affordable CNG Transit Program, a state-led initiative which is designed to translate the lower operating cost of CNG into reduced transport fares for citizens across the nation. And this was after the governors received a presentation on the project during its meeting in Abuja. For briefing the media after the forum's meeting, Bayelsa State Governor Dori disclosed that the forum also received a presentation from the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, on opportunities for state participation in CANEX Weekend 2026 and the Intra-African Trade Fair 2027 scheduled to hold in Lagos. The meeting, which was chaired by the chairman of the forum, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, had in attendance several governors and deputy governors, mostly from the APC. In Niger State, the police say it's working to ascertain the total number of persons abducted in some communities in Dekara district of Borgu local government area. Now speaking to Channels Television in Mina, the Niger State capital, the spokesperson of the command, Wasiu Abiodun, explains that clearance operation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, the chairman of Borgu local government area, Abdullahi Mohammed, has confirmed that normalcy have since returned to the area, adding that the military is carrying out operations in the affected communities.
Niger, a state that borders Kebbi and Zamfara states in northwest Nigeria and Benin Republic, has come under serious attack from bandits. The latest is the attack on 4 communities in Dekara district of Borgu local government area. The affected communities are Gidanzana, Masaka, Sabungida, and Benya. The attacks led to the abduction of several persons in the communities.
We got report from Borgu local government in New Busa, where it was reported that some armed men attacked some communities within the Dekara district of Borgu local government area, which affected about 4 communities. You have communities of Sabun, Gida, Gidanzana, Masaka, and Penya community, where some of these locals in this community were abducted. It was also further reported that during Jumat prayer in Penya Mosque, the worshippers, immediately after the prayer, the mosque was surrounded and some of the worshippers were also abducted.
After the Juma prayers, I got a call from the district head of the area informing me of what happened. 4 communities were affected. While worshippers were observing their Juma prayers, the bandits came and rounded the mosque. We have informed the security agencies of the developments, and just yesterday soldiers went on patrol of that place, and inshallah the military is on top of the situation.
The attack prompted action from the military on the orders of President Bola Tinubu, who in a statement issued by his spokesman, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, called for coordinated operation to rescue the victims. Since the turn of the year, there have been at least 5 attacks in Niger State, and most of the attacks have occurred in the same area. They include the Kasuan Daji market raid on January the 3rd at Demo village in Bogu local government area, the invasion of Aguara local government area on February the 1st, the Triple Village Dawn raid in Bogu local government area on February the 14th, the Dekara district attack on August the 21st, and the Gala Palace attack on August the 24th, both in Borgu local government area.
Terrorism we are facing within Niger State has gone out of hand. So we want Mr. President to expedite action. Giving orders are a good one, but when we see action being expedited and this issue of terrorism being nipped in the bud, I think we can be once more happy again.
We are doing everything we need to do. We have deployments in Aguara. We have deployments in Papiri. We have military deployment in some of the local area in those communities. But it's just that you cannot cover every villages in this area. It is a very large area. You may not be able to have deployments in all the villages. Nevertheless, we have some of our units on ground, and we have commenced rescue efforts to be able to secure the release and rescue of these victims on hot. This is what we are doing.
While the council officials are assuring residents that calm has returned to the area, security agencies are urging residents to remain calm as efforts are ongoing to rescue their loved ones.
Amid continuing anti-immigrant agitations in South Africa, another batch of Nigerian returnees, totaling 67, have arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, from the Rainbow Nation. The returnees landed via South Africa Airways at exactly 8:45 p.m. yesterday and were received by some federal government agencies, which included the National Emergency Management Agency, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons as well. The Southwest coordinator of the agency, Mr. Alex Oturu, said the return of this batch of Nigerians who returned due to xenophobic challenges in South Africa was facilitated by good-spirited Nigerians who assisted with their flight tickets and other interventions. In the meantime, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, that's FAN, has clarified that e-hailing platform Bolt has been cleared to resume operations at its airports immediately after the two sides reached an operational agreement following a dispute that disrupted the service and drew complaints from passengers. A statement issued by FAN's Director, Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Henry Agbibiri, on Thursday noted that the dispute stemmed from nearly a decade of efforts to address safety, security and accountability concerns around commercial and e-hailing vehicles operating at its airports, including unregulated pickups and passenger solicitation, some involving drivers working across multiple platforms simultaneously. The authority said it remains in discussions with other e-hailing operators and expects those talks to conclude in the coming days, though it did not name which platforms remain affected. According to the statement, FAN noted that those concerns had prompted it to introduce ACRAMS, this airport car hire management system, which according to it is not an e-hailing app and does not compete with Bolt, Uber or other mobility platforms. The authority also addressed public criticism over airport taxi fares, saying rates cited in recent public discussions were not newly imposed by FAN or created by its management system and were not substantially different from fares that existed previously. The federal government says it has reduced to some extent the electricity metering gap in Nigeria with an ongoing rollout under Phase 1 of the $500 million World Bank Finance Distribution Sector Recovery Program. This was part of the brief following the meeting of the National Council on Privatization, chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Ayodeji Gbile, described the meeting as very fruitful, noting that they provided the Vice President with updates on some of the activities of the NCP. Also, the Minister of Power, Mr. Joseph Tegbe, confirmed efforts being made by the NCP to ensure Nigerians get value from electricity and other critical sectors of the economy.
We provided update on meter deployment under the World Bank Finance Distribution Sector Recovery Program. In Phase 1, we have implemented 60% of the meters that have been delivered in the country out of 1,033,000. So far, we have deployed and installed on customer premises 668,000 meters. We also provided updates with regards to the implementation of the Electricity Act, especially as it affects the transition from Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to State Electricity Regulatory Commission. Where we are today, about 17 states have actually created their own state electricity regulatory commission, with Ekiti starting off in April of 2024, and more recently in July of this year, Akwa Ibom State also created its own electricity regulatory commission. And of course, there are some fine-tuning required here and there to the implementation of that act that Council has directed that stakeholders should engage constructively, led by the Attorney General of the Federation, the Honorable Minister of Power, the Special Advisor on Power, the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Oil and Gas, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, the BP, and all other critical stakeholders.
And we're all working concertedly in a very, collaborative manner to ensure that we give value, either in electricity, either in the telecoms, whichever area, to make sure that Nigerians benefit from this government.
The federal government has asked the concessionaire handling the Benin-Asaba highway reconstruction to allow the Federal Ministry of Works to bring in competent contractors to handle the project, citing lack of capacity on the part of the concessionaire to carry out the work. Now, the Minister of Works, Mr. David Umahi, who made the appeal at the stakeholders meeting in Benin City on Wednesday, also disclosed that the ministry will convey to the concessionaire its intention to terminate, as well as write to the company to remedy the default. Correspondent Jessica Olugbuse reports.
The Minister of Works, David Umahi, convenes a stakeholders meeting at the Edo State Government House, Benin City, on Wednesday. It follows Tuesday's on-site inspection of the Agbo Road section of the 125-kilometer Benin-Asaba highway reconstruction, a concession being handled by the Benin-Asaba Expressway Concession Company, BAIC. On screen is an aerial shot of the expressway taken 2 days before the meeting.
So you can see the water, the creative pools of water.
The minister lists alleged breaches by the concessionaire, including non-adherence to instructions, use of unqualified staff, removal of government asphalt, and improper channeling of water. He says the ministry will write the independent engineer for measurement of work done, excluding negative work. He also discloses plans to write BAIC to remedy defaults, as well as its plan to serve it an intention to terminate. Remedial actions include restating removed asphalt at no cost, unveiling lenders, and removing the allegedly unqualified project's director. He, however, appeals to BAIC to grant written approval for the ministry to bring in competent contractors.
Pleading with you before the public and before the government to allow Ministry of Works to bring in competent contractors, because the destruction that caused on the road is beyond their capacity, with no previous experience on road construction, nor enough equipment to tackle this. So we are pleading with you to give us a writing approval to do this.
The Works Minister also suggests options to determination for default to BAIC to ensure the project is completed.
It's for all parties to mutually terminate, but will we not exhaust your interests? The third option is that you bring a contractor that has been tested and possibly working in Nigeria, and that we design the projects, we supervise the projects, Ministry of Works, and as the characteristic of EPC was there, when we finish, we told the projects.
Governor Okpolo describes the work as unsatisfactory and urges the ministry as guarantor to take necessary measures.
What we are seeing now is not what I should be seeing at this point after 16 months. Nothing is done. To me, it's a total waste of resources. These people are not serious about completing this job. And if we continue to talk about them from now till next year, we'll still repeat the same thing. So, Minister, I advise that do the needful. Although people are watching, Nigerians are watching, whatever is happening here goes around the whole country.
While a BAIC representative insists there was no default, the company's legal counsel appeals for more time for engagement.
If you allow us that, we can speak further without having to be conclusive here. These honorables and every stakeholder here do allow us more time to engage. I believe that we have a pathway forward to further collaborate, please.
As the meeting ends, stakeholders, including National Assembly Works Committee Chairman, say the interest of Nigerians must come first and that the recent gridlock on the road must not recur. Jessica Olugbuse, Channels Television News.
When we come back after the break, we take a look at what's happening in the world of business. Join us again. Welcome back to the news at 5. Governor Hyacinth Alia has dismissed speculations that the Benue state government is offering land for ranching for Fulani herders under the proposed National Livestock Transformation Program by the federal government. Addressing journalists in Makurdi after the inauguration of 6 new commissioners and members of the Benue State Assembly Service and Benue Television Boards, Governor Alia says the mere mention of Benue on the proposed states does not automatically qualify Benue for the program, as the state has no land for such.
Father, Chief Dr. Hyacinth.
6 newly appointed commissioners, a member of the Benue State House of Assembly Service Commission, and the chairman of the Benue Television Board are seated at the old banquet hall in the company of other family members ahead of their inauguration.
We'll take the national.
Governor Hyacinth Alia arrives for the ceremony as the newly appointed commissioners take their oath of office.
I present our fundamental objectives and directive principles of the state policies contained in the Constitution.
Work must ultimately contribute to the same objective: strong, more prosperous, peaceful, and sustainable Benue State. Therefore, charge you to see yourselves not as heads of isolated ministries, but as members of one administration and one team.
Responding, the Commissioner for Youth, Sports and Creativity gives assurances of their commitment to duty.
Excellency, let me assure you that we know the task before us. And especially for those of us with some level of experience, we know what you represent. We will strive, we move along with you. And at the end of the day, by the grace of God, the JSC will be happy with us.
Speaking to journalists after the inauguration, Governor Alia calls for calm over the vexed matters surrounding the National Livestock Transformation Program.
The state has the Ministry of Livestock, quite all right. Livestock includes everything. Includes sheep, goats, even birds. And we have all this. Quite a number of them right in our backyard. So livestock is quite generic. So even ordinarily, we have a state law prohibiting grazing in the state, and it is still in force. So no one pulled it out, so it is still in practice. But having said that, the announcement from the federal government does not necessarily mean that the state is going to ranch.
The clarification by the governor comes against the background of mounting claims that the administration is in bed with herders to cede Benue territory to attackers.
The Niger Economic Summit Group NESG is preaching growth that works, delivering job productivity as it prepares for its 32nd summit. The Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Tayo Aduloju, who was on our Business Incorporated program, believes that while the country has achieved macro stability, the next level is driving productivity for microeconomic growth.
All of us in Africa are seeing the war-to-wallet transmission. Now, if your water-wallet transmission met you with a stronger set of macroeconomic fundamentals, you do a little bit better. If your water-wallet transmission from the global shocks arrive in your country and you were not doing better on the macro, you do worse. And so you're seeing, that's the pressure you're seeing in Kenya and in some of the parts of Africa. The small respite we are getting today is that the reforms we executed 36 months ago, thereabout, created a stronger macroeconomic stability. So we are not at risk today in terms of a balance of payments crisis. However, that's 36 months ago action, and the global shocks will test that going into the next 12 to 24 months. So Nigeria does not have today what you might call a macro stability challenge. We have a conversion challenge, right? How do you convert that macro stability you now have gained into productive jobs, into sectors that can grow faster than the population growth rate, into gross output productivity, especially in sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and how can you attract investments to drive that growth? So the conversion reforms are the key. Conversion reform from stability to accelerating growth points to the work that now needs to be done. Yeah, we've already won on that. The macro dance is over, right? It was done months ago. It has had its effect. If you want to sustain that growth and increase it, we now need to shift to conversion reforms, because conversion reforms is what converts your macro into firm performance, into market performance, into wallet performance that Nigerians can feel.
Despite appreciation of the government's reforms, concerns remain over the pace at which their benefits are reaching average Nigerians. And now the International Monetary Fund is recommending deepened fiscal, monetary and governance reforms to translate meaningful improvements to living standards and economic opportunities. The CEO of Cowrie Asset Management, Mr. Johnson Chukwu, agrees with the IMF, and the government on all levels need to be more intentional going forward.
Beyond the palliatives, which the government is trying to do, the palliative does not cure the ailment. It is an economy that is productive at reasonable cost that will cure the dislocation or the fracture. I live in Lagos. I can barely see any sign there's a local government function in Lagos, and that applies to almost everywhere in the country, not just Lagos as an exception. You see the households or the residents are taking care of their debts. They're cleaning their drainage. These are the minimum the local government can do. People are putting street lights in front of their houses. These are what the local government should do. People are paying for security men to protect their neighborhood. People are mounting gates to protect their neighborhood. So where is the local government? So that's one aspect. So you don't have accountability at the lowest tier of governance. And at the state government, a number of state governors just go to Abuja, pick disbursement of their FAC allocations, and then go to their state, pay salaries to their friends, and go back to Abuja. And then you see minimal governance. And then you also have, we have legislature capture, both at the federal and the state levels, where the legislature have become an appendage of the executive. So the critical question they need to ask, let's critically review the budget, let's review the implementation of the budget. The budget is an instant law. If it is breached, then it becomes an impeachable offense or a sanctionable offense that the executive must be held accountable to.
And that's it on News at 5 at this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. The World Today is up next.